Hi there, this is Cindy Chase from Coffee Connections podcast. Welcome to our podcast this week. Our special guest is Peter Klassen from PK Digital Creative. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, Cindy. Thanks for having me. And thank you for the wonderful coffee. This is keeping me wide awake. You mentioned that I'm from PK Digital Creative. It is a graphic design company. So you know quite well what graphic design is, but for everyone else who might think, oh, so you draw pictures all day? And that's sometimes kind of true, I suppose. But what I like to say I do is I help individuals and businesses visually communicate with their audience through the use of functional aesthetic and proven design principles. So this results in higher visibility and brand integrity, which translates to more opportunity for the business and ultimately higher profits.
Right. Now, that was something that graphic designers and marketing experts would understand, but we have a lot of viewers that maybe they just started their business and they need somebody to maybe design a logo. What can you do for them in layman's terms?
Okay, yeah, so if we were going through a logo design process, I would probably have a series of questions for you. For example, do you have any ideas what you'd like your logo to look like? First of all, would be probably the biggest one. Do you have a color palette that you are leaning towards? If not, we can make one.
Right.
And we would go over things like the color theory. Certain colors have different meaning. Certain colors
emotions.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And so, different colors tend to work better for different industries as well.
True.
You might do red and black for more industrial. You might do blue for more medical, something like that. So we'll go over things like that. If they have any ideas, like for example, I would like to use my initials, but I'm a painter, so I want a paintbrush in it. We could explore different venues to combine those things together. Quite often I will encourage my clients to get a logo pack, so they don't just have one logo, but it's responsive. And what a responsive logo pack will do is there are various places where your logo is going to be seen. Now, some of those places are going to be rectangular shapes. Some of them are going to be circular shapes, such as social media profile photos or images. And you just want your logo to work the best in the environment that it's in.
Right.
So sometimes, you'll have what they call a word mark, which is just the word.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have a combo mark, which is, say, the logo portion or the icon portion with the words.
Right.
Sometimes you'll just have the icon.
Right.
And those will fit in different areas better in some situations. So it's good to be able to have, like, for example, Disney. They have the castle with the Disney, the letter, right? And then they just have the Disney without the castle. But then they also just have the D, and everybody knows that it's Disney because of that D, right?
Yeah.
So there's various forms of your logo that will work better. And that also increases your brand integrity and recognition. So I often try to encourage people to have a logo pack that's ready to go.
How long have you been doing graphic design?
I've been involved in graphic design part-time for quite a while before I decided to get really serious about it. So I've always been involved in artistic activities like band stuff. I'm actually 1/5 of a Juno Award winning heavy metal band.
Wow.
And we tour the world 3 to 4 months of the year usually. Which is maybe a story for another time, but yes, even now.
No, that's not a story for another time. We want to know all about you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's actually kind of why I started my own business in the first place.
So you were designing their marketing material and stuff?
Yeah, I started doing stuff for bands because, bands need posters for their events.
Yes.
They need CD inserts. They need social media imagery. They need all kinds of stuff, right?
Yes.
Bands need logos too.
Yeah.
So it was quite a lot of me just wanting to, help out other bands in the heavy music community.
Yeah.
And so doing stuff like that was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
I also grew up with a friend who became a graphic designer very early. He became in his very early 20s.
Oh, wow.
And he was a band member of mine. So I was always asking him stuff about design. And I always thought, graphic design's cool, If I was not so busy trying to do music or trying to do this or that was always kind of the other thing that I wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
So I got much more serious about it when I moved back to Canada because I'd been living in Tokyo for 8 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So
what were you doing there?
Lots of stuff. Lots of music stuff. So I was a voiceover guy, a studio vocalist, and I had 2 bands over there that we would tour the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a busy guy. So a little bit of acting and film work as well, but so a lot of that. And then I came back to Canada, and I didn't know the right people in the industry to jump straight back into, acting and voiceover and stuff like that. It really takes a lot of time to build up who you know for those type of industries.
Yeah.
So I thought about, what else can I do? What else can I do? And I got my spot in a new band in Canada already. So I was like, well, they're going to need some help with graphics. But I thought, oh, hey, maybe I could go take the actual graphic design course and go through it and actually become a professional, because, I'm so glad I did too, because now that I look back at the work that I did before taking the courses, before the diploma, I wouldn't want to show that to anybody and say, hey, I'm a graphic designer, right? So that's kind of what pushed me in that direction. Right. Also because when you tour with a band, traditional employment sort of poses a set of unique challenges. Your boss they
want you at work rather than touring, right?
It's very hard. I know it's hard to convince your boss to let you just leave for 3 months, at a time. So I need to be a little more in control of my own situations.
So you bring your laptop and you do your designing while you're traveling.
Yeah,
do you get clients while you're traveling as well?
Sure, I do. I conduct business as usual, and it's actually, it sounds like it would be a bit of a bit hectic. No, I mean, it can be, but the thing with touring with a band is you have a lot of hours on highways.
Yes.
And it's boring.
Yeah.
So
you can be productive.
I'll sit in the back and I just conduct business as usual.
Talking about traveling and conducting business on the road, as a business owner, it's important to not just have a business brand, but people are not in a relationship with your business. They're in a relationship with you. Mm-hmm. And part of that means you want to be engaging and you want to be approachable and relatable. Sure. And do you do any personal branding while you're on the road? And do you do video stuff?
Usually when we're on the road, video and content creation does kind of go towards more the band side of things, because there's a lot of stuff to capture. But I mean, I will usually post if I'm doing something, if I'm working on something. I like to post completed projects with the permission of my client, of course. Anytime that happens. So, I will do those usual things as well. Little updates on social media. Yeah.
So I ask that because, as a content creator, sometimes it's hard to think of something to post that would be of interest that isn't, just beating people over the head with, this is what I do, this is how much I charge. And in fact, on my way here, I set my phone up on my dashboard and recorded a video saying, hey, I'm on my way to do a Coffee Connections podcast with Peter Klassen, and mentioned that, you're a graphic designer, I'm a graphic designer, but you have a passion for music, I have a passion for fashion. And so I'm starting to do that more. Gary Vaynerchuk, although he swears a lot, he does have a lot of great ideas, obviously, but one thing that really stuck with me is he said, you got to get yourself and your name out there in front of people, because everybody's got a handheld phone, and they may say maybe they need a photographer. Hey Google, get me a photographer in Edmonton. Right. So it'll just give me the one that paid the most advertising dollars.
Yeah.
Now, if say they're looking for a graphic designer, if they say, hey, get me PK Digital Creative, because your name is in the top of their mind, right? So that's why I post what I do. So
that's a really good point.
It is. You want your name and your company name to be top of mind.
Absolutely. I mean, SEO helps with some of that if it's just the online world, I think. But you made a really good point, and that's something that I do think that I need to probably improve on is a little bit more, personal content, because I get so full of doing the work and, maintaining the business sometimes that it's like, well, I really should do that too a little more. Yeah. But you made me think of something interesting, and it's actually my own personal branding was something that when I first started the business, PK Digital Creative, I've been in business for 3 years now. And when I first started, I really thought, well, maybe I need to separate, the heavy metal world and the business world, and be business Pete over here and heavy metal Pete over here. And just so people are more. They see heavy metal sometimes and like, oh, that might be a bit too crazy for me, kind of thing. Which I understand. Heavy metal's a little over the top. But Ken G from Coffee with the Chamber meetings. Yeah. He really made me realize something when I started going to those networking meetings that, I would go in and I'd want to talk about my business and I'd want to talk about what I do with my business. I'm a graphic designer, this and that. But Ken would always introduce me to other people as, hey, this is Pete Klassen. He has a Juno Award. Yeah. And I would think, oh, that's really cool. Thanks for introducing that. But, I'm really here to talk about my business. I'm not here to talk about my music stuff, But what I realized after a couple of meetings was, Ken's a smart guy, and he's a pro at connecting people. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. So I thought about it, and I thought, he's finding the most interesting parts of me and telling these to people so that they'll find me interesting and want to talk to me and want to engage with me. Right. So I decided, I really need to lean more into that and use that. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm not the banker-looking guy. Mm-hmm. I'm not the real estate agent-looking guy. Right. I'm the graphic designer who is on the road for 3-4 months of the year, looking at any country in the world. Yeah. Wow. Getting my inspiration from the mountains of Slovenia or something like that. Yeah. This is something nobody else has in this room. Right. Or sometimes he'd be like, oh yeah, this is Petey speaks Japanese. Like, well, there's another conversation starter. Well, yeah. So I thought, well, this is great. I'm going to take what Ken has made me realize and, make that part of who I am with my business as well, because it is one thing. It's me conducting my business. Yes. And wanting to connect with other businesses who also have humans that have a story. Yes. And I find with graphic design, we get such a glimpse into so many other people's businesses and industries that we would never otherwise learn anything about. And it's fascinating because I love to learn new stuff. Me too. So every time I get to learn about somebody else's job, someone else's industry, it just fills me up a bit more. And I just feel like those meetings and Ken himself, I can't speak enough good about that guy. I love that guy. I'll edit that out. Yeah. I'm just teasing. yeah, we'll get it right. So I can. Which is actually how we met, isn't it? Yes. Through those meetings. Yeah. So that was something about personal branding that really hit me hard in the beginning, in my first year of business, and I was like, right. I really should just be myself more. You have to, because that's what it's all about, right? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to make better connections, more real connections that way. So that was one big thing that really I noticed about personal branding. Somebody shared this quote with me. And it, again, stuck. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah, that's a good one. So if you're not trying to shove your business down their throat, they'll actually show an interest and stay and talk with you, right? Yeah, we're not going to these networking meetings to sell ourselves to other businesses. We're going there to make connections. Mm-hmm. And I mean, sometimes, I've met people at network meetings and had 8 or 10 coffees with them, just chatting before, anything ever happened. Yeah. Or maybe it won't happen, but it's always good to have a bigger business circle. And you chat with somebody 4 or 5 times, they really get to know you, so that when they're talking to somebody else that needs your services, I know just the right person. Exactly. And then maybe I can refer them somewhere else as well. Maybe we never worked together, but if I can always help somebody else. And they've added value to you and to your life, and you've added value to theirs. Just by showing that you care. Absolutely. People need that. Yeah, that's true. Another one that you remind me of was, I like the quote, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Yes. Which is another good point, and a good reason to inject yourself into your own personal branding. And now that we're on quotes, I heard this one like a couple of days ago. In fact, people don't see you through their eyes, they see you through your eyes. Interesting. How you present yourself, how you talk about yourself and your services and what's important to you, how you carry yourself. People read that, right? Sure. So personally, once I gave up trying to be perfect and hide my flaws, life got way easier for me. Yeah. And it also allows people around me to put their guard down and show their flaws as well. And it just is a much better relationship and
interaction. So
Yeah, I completely agree. That's a great philosophy.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What types of products and services do you offer, Peter?
Right, good question. Well, I'm somewhat of a generalist in graphic design, which means sort of I kind of can go in any of the areas. But I have extensive experience with individual product branding and packaging for both digital and print products. I also have lots of experience with social media content creation on a content creation team. And marketing, graphics, and advertising is another big part of it. Plus, I do some animation and motion graphics as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything in the graphic design world, I can take care of it, yeah.
Describe your favorite type of client to work with.
I like people who have a clear idea of where they're going in business and need help communicating that to the world. That's what I like. I like people who are open and willing to share themselves with me. I like people who are organized, of course, as I also need to be.
Yes.
I like people who have a story to share with the world, who have a business that needs to get out there,
Yes.
who are passionate about what they do.
Yes.
I love to hear people's stories about how they got started, right? I mean, that's part of how I drum up in my head how I'm going to visually represent these people to the world, right?
Yeah.
I listen to this and I like to hear their stories. I like to hear where people come from and what they're passionate about.
Yeah. That's what Coffee Connections podcast is all about, right? I want to hear your story. I want to hear other people, business owners' stories, and allow you to tell that to the public. Because being a business owner myself, I really feel fortunate that I am in the marketing and design industry, so I can tell my own story visually, right? A lot of companies or business owners are good at what they do, but not so great at marketing. So if I can, help them out this way, that's my contribution to society.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, business, it's a community too, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that's what it's all about,
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And not just to help the business owner, but help the community see what is available to them, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe even connect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I find some people aren't even really aware of what graphic designers do.
Yep.
Sometimes. I met somebody at a network meeting who really had no idea what I do. Oh, graphic design, I've heard of that before. Draw pictures is kind of why I've got that in my elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Because it's there's a lot more depth to it than it may look like on the surface.
I agree with you, obviously. And what I have found when Canva and computer programs where you can do your own graphics and build your own logos and stuff, business owners think that, I can do my own. Well, they don't realize the research and thought process and years of experience analyzing different target markets, what people respond to, colors, shapes, fonts, whatever, right? So just like you said, a lot more goes into the design process. And so we as graphic designers need to educate people.
Sometimes we do. Yep, that's true. It's not just about making things beautiful. We use it's really an amalgamation of science and art.
Yeah.
We take, you get what are they?
And
Gestalt
emotion,
principles,
right?
Yeah, and emotion. Yeah, we take proven scientific principles of how to lead a viewer's eye through a piece of anything, so that they retain that information in the most efficient way possible.
I took a snapshot of another quote that was on your website.
I've got a couple on there. My favorites.
White space is like air. It is necessary for design to breathe. My glasses.
Who said that one? That wasn't John Maida. Maida.
Wojciech Zielinski. White space is like air. It is necessary for design to breathe.
That is so true.
That is so true.
Because it's easy to think, I need to cram all these things into this design. There needs to be this information and this information. But what I often find telling clients and other people that I work with is design is not always about what you can add to something. It's quite often what can I take away.
Right.
So it's more simple. So it's functional, which is why the tagline of my business is aesthetic with a purpose.
What does your business offer clients that differentiates you from your competitors?
I would say first and foremost where I come from. So I bring a worldwide perspective, I think. I bring, I could be in any country at any time of the year, really potentially seeing old architecture in Poland. And this is contributing to my eye for design. Absolutely. Everything I see every day. So these things make their way into my sphere of influence. Also being involved in other forms of art. Not only can I do your graphics for you, I can create music to go along with it. I have experience with voiceover. I can bring that in as well. I wear a few hats throughout my life, so I think that translates into my design as well. I'm passionate about what I do. I got into design because I love it.
Yes.
Because it's something I'm interested in. And I think people need communication. So important in any kind of relationship. So just being able to be a part of that. I love what I do and I want to do a good job.
We know that wisdom comes with experience. What words of wisdom would you share with new entrepreneurs in your field of expertise?
Be yourself, I think. As we spoke about just a few minutes ago, how I learned the lesson that I shouldn't be pretending to be this business guy who has a completely separate life. It's like, no, I'm one guy. There's no reason for me to be holding this back or holding that back or anything like that. I think be yourself and network. Try to meet as many people as you can. You know, just do good work and people will come back.
What types of marketing material and platforms do you advertise your business, and what works best for you?
Mostly Instagram and LinkedIn. Okay. I find they both work for different things. Obviously, LinkedIn is much more business connections, finding other businesses, communicating that way. Whereas Instagram is a little bit better for showcasing my work, you know, marketing myself that way. Whereas, so LinkedIn, I'm not trying to sell myself as much, I think, as I am on Instagram.
Right.
So I would say that's the biggest difference between those two for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a look at your portfolio that you shared.
Really the most recent video?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Real nice work.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Impressive.
Yeah. That's I tried to approach the portfolio a little different this time because, you know, everybody throws in a PDF or this or that. I was like, well, you know, people like videos these days.
Exactly.
I'm gonna put it into a video form because that way I can animate it a little bit too, right? So
yeah, show your skills, right?
Basic animation, and you can show how it's built.
Yes.
I found it was easier. I think a lot of people want to see not only the product that you've worked on or the design that you've made, but why you made it that way or kind of how it came together.
What was the driving force that kept you pushing on during the tough times?
Why am I doing this?
Yes.
So I can do all the things that I want to do in my life. I've worked very hard to minimize the things that I don't want to do and maximize the things that I do want to do.
Yes.
And I just think that makes me more honest in everything that I'm doing. So I guess the challenge is just very much that. How do you run a business and be part of an internationally touring band? And like, I'm involved in fitness and wrestling as well. So I love all the exciting stuff. How do I fit this all into my schedule, take care of my clients and my own life as well? I think that's probably the biggest challenge of it all is just juggling it all and making sure everything's still, you know, up to snuff.
What advice would you give your younger self to save you from experiencing something needlessly?
Oh, start everything earlier. And, you know, it's probably just the usual stuff. I could have become more interested in business and entrepreneurship earlier in life, which would have definitely benefited me. I could have started getting more into fitness earlier in my life because I find that helps me with focus. I'm just maintaining a healthy diet and staying fit. Makes you more motivated. I think it translates into all areas of your life, including business.
I agree.
I should have started that earlier. You know, I could have been a little more serious in my 20s. But I think once we all get to our 30s and 40s, we all kind of start to think that way, don't we?
Yeah. And your past makes you who you are, but it also gives you a perspective of that target market.
Oh, absolutely.
Too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Peter, we've come to the end of our podcast, so I'd like to give you an opportunity to just leave a few last words with the viewers.
Sure. Thank you, Cindy. I guess what I would leave you with is my favorite quote about design from famous designer John Maeda, who says, "Art is a question to a problem. Design is a solution."
Oh, well. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So
Thank you,
please
Judy.
like and subscribe so you can catch all the next ones.